Hey guys, thank you for joining me. You have reached True Crime's coldest winter, and I'm Winter. I'm here to talk about the true crime cases that are absolutely shocking. Today, I'm going to take you guys to another country. Yes, Camaragibe, Brazil. This is okay. I don't even know where to start with these true crime documentaries. That nothing really surprises me. It would have to be deplorable for me to say, wow, this is a shocker. But you have those certain people who you really truly believe that everything is fine. There's nothing that could have indicated anything, any sort of tragedy. I mean, sleeping with the enemy. What would you imagine that being like? Because one would think that they wouldn't really want to sleep with their enemy. So when I think of this, you don't really want to be around your enemy, let alone sleeping with them. Makes you feel comfortable enough to sleep with them, but they're actually your enemy and you didn't know. Yeah, sleeping with the enemy is what I would describe this case to be, because for some gosh darn reason, those enemies always seems to get into the bed anyway. How are they able to finagle their way into our beds to the point where we're comfortable enough to sleep with them? Enemies suck really bad. There are some enemies that are clear enemies. Those ones aren't so bad. But the enemies that you had no idea what you were getting yourself into, no idea. Catching Z's, noodling, sleeping soundly, marrying this person even. I mean, but they were not for you, and they most likely never were. And that is the unfortunate lesson in this case. Let's have a go. Yeah, when I miss you. Rogerio Demascena, a 29-year-old successful salesman living in the middle-class city of Camaragibe, located in northeastern Brazil. He worked for a motorcycle import business, and he had a really bright future with the company. He was accepted by his coworkers. He was marketable according to his management team. He was a model employee, happy and attentive at work. His boss, Marcelo Guimarães, who's 40 years old at the time, was also Rogerio's best friend. So he was his boss and his best friend. Can't get any better than that, really. Rogerio, he not only had a thriving business life, but he had a fruitful love life as well. He had been dating his 25-year-old lawyer girlfriend, Renata Alexandre Costa Coelho. So yeah, they were dating, and by all accounts they were deeply in love. And despite the fact that Rogerio and Renata split up in 2008, their love was strong and solid enough for them to get married in December of 2010. So their marriage, it was a civil ceremony, took place on a Friday, December 17th. Their wedding invitations included a cute cartoon version of the couple. They had about 200 guests in attendance at the reception. The reception was held at a Casa Grande de Aldea, and this was near Recife in Camaragibe. And this reception followed the wedding ceremony. The reception included a spiritual ceremony, and it was due to end with a breakfast on Sunday morning. I mean, Friday the wedding, Saturday the reception, all the way up until Sunday morning. Renata's family paid for all of their expenses for this extravaganza. They even gifted Renata and Rogerio a house as a wedding gift. I mean, that's nice. And the wedding reception, it was going great. They had a band that was playing, people were dancing, drinking, just having a wonderful time. Rogerio and Renata, they were holding hands, drinking, dancing, going from table to table, thanking their guests for coming. And of course, Marcelo, Roger's boss and best friend, was also in attendance at the wedding as Rogerio's best man. Renata was wearing a beautiful white sleeveless dress. She just was happy, content. I mean, it was great. One person described it as it being brilliant. I mean, there wasn't any sign of a rift. There was no sign of tension. Everything was going remarkably well. But this made what happened next even more shocking and appalling for everyone in Brazil. This picture was taken at 2:21 a.m. December 19th, 2010. And this was actually the very last picture taken of the couple. After the photo was taken, the reception was getting ready to come to a close. The guests were getting ready to leave. But Roger, I'm calling him Roger from now on. Roger, he wasn't done with the reception yet. No, he wasn't done yet. He told everybody that he had a surprise for everyone. Yeah, come on. Everyone, round up. I've got a surprise for you guys. I would like for you guys to wait right here. Roger leaves at around 2:30ish. He hugs his father and he tells his father how happy that he was. Then he left the reception and had his guests waiting on him for this surprise that he had for everyone. When Roger returned, he joined the group of guests that he rounded up and made wait for the surprise. He embraced his new wife with a hug and a kiss on the back of her neck. He then pulls out a .38 revolver and shoots Renata in the chest. She didn't have any chance of defending herself. And Roger then shoots Renata in her ear. Renata fell on the floor right in front of him. And right after that, Roger then opens fire at his best friend and best man, Marcelo, wounding him. Marcelo puts his hands up to defend himself. Roger continues to shoots at him. Even after seeing that Marcelo had been wounded, he still proceeded to shoot him in the back of his neck. Renata and Marcelo died at the scene. Roger then goes to shoot himself in the head. Renata's cousin and nephew were both grazed by a passing bullet, as well as Renata's brother, but they survived. Roger's dad, Joe Demascena, he was busy trying to save his son's life. As Roger didn't die immediately, he was transported to Recife's Hospital da Restauração, where he died without regaining consciousness. Of course, law enforcement, they show up, and they stated that they have never heard of such a joyous event ending in such a tragedy. Me neither. I haven't either. Have you guys? Friends and family were shocked, couldn't believe it. Everyone was up in arms. Law enforcement looking for this gun that was used to shoot and kill everyone. They couldn't find the gun to save their lives. Roger's dad told law enforcement that he didn't know where the gun was. He actually had the gun. He hid it to protect his son. But when he later turned in the gun, he was charged with hiding evidence and obstructing the course of justice, which is just so sad. But why did Roger do it? His rampage shocked everyone involved, considering how happy he was at the wedding. There was nothing to indicate, nor did he show any signs that he was going to do what he was going to do. But other people would disagree. Roger was apparently extremely jealous and was prone to attacks because of his jealousy. For example, Roger was convinced that Renata's niece's husband was flirting with Renata at a social event, and he went as far as to shoving the man during a heated argument. And this was so bad and didn't sit well with Renata's niece's husband at all, to the point where he actually had to excuse himself, and he left another event following the scuffle that they had at the last event. So when Renata's niece's husband saw Roger at this, he wanted to leave. As soon as he saw Roger, he's like, dude, I want to go. Apparently Roger had a terrible temper. It's believed that Roger was under the misconception that Renata and his best man, Marcelo, were having an affair. It is said that infidelity is common in Brazil. A survey from the University of Sao Paulo indicated that 50% of wives who were aged 18 to 25 admitted to having been unfaithful to their husbands. And comparatively, 66% of husbands admitted to having such affair as well. So it's very common in Brazil. And it seems that Roger had an excessive preoccupation about being cheated on. And this could have indicated a psychiatric problem for Roger. There's a possibility that Roger's jealousy caused a psychotic episode, and he could have had a neurotic conflict and perceived any attitude from Renata as a sign of treachery, and this could have provoked a psychological shock at the wedding that day. Law enforcement didn't find any evidence of an affair between Renata and Marcelo. And Marcelo was described to be a loving husband and father who had 2 children, an 8-year-old son and a 4-year-old daughter who he left behind. Violent crimes of this nature are actually common in Brazil, but it's mostly in the sprawling shanty towns or in big cities like Rio de Janeiro. But what was so shocking about this crime was that this was a respectable middle-class family, and it also happened right before Christmas. Huge shockwaves all throughout Brazil. Was this premeditated? A lot of people say that, considering his speech at the wedding and the fact that he hid the gun, these were indications of premeditation. So when Roger stated that he was going to be right back, it's assumed that when he left for those 5 minutes to go to his truck, is actually his dad's truck. He apparently hid a gun inside of his dad's truck. And it's believed that he left to get the gun and came back and did his violent rampage. It could have been premeditated. All of this could be true, but we don't really know for sure, my afterthoughts, I believe that yes, Roger probably did believe that Renata and Marcelo were having an affair. From an outsider looking in over a decade later, yes, it's clear and obvious that maybe, just maybe, Rogerio blew things way out of proportion. But to Roger's mind, there really is no telling what he saw or may have heard, what he could have assumed in his mind. He just felt like this is it, I don't know. Renata's sister says that she doesn't believe that this was a crime of passion, which I don't either, because a crime of passion is something would have to have happened to cause someone to want to hurt someone at that given moment in time. There is a cooling off period, you know? Nothing happened. It was just, everyone was blindsided. It was, I don't know. I don't know who, why, what, where, when, how. Yeah, you can't make this up. And sometimes the truth is more horrific than fiction. This is the story of Rogerio, Demascena, and Renata Coelho. Thank you so much for joining me, and you will see me very soon. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. When I miss you, yeah, 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 yeah. Always playing this song when I miss you. 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 I ain't perfect, don't do too much or fall back. I'm a different breed, don't confuse that. Or you bound to do a couple double backs. Yeah, don't confuse that I love you. I just don't do all that tick for tack. I just want you to show that I love back. We in this for life, ain't no going back, you know. So I stole